Everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term power progression, those things.
Damn!
This is news that I definitely did not expect anytime soon. Hey, hello, what's up, whatever. It's your new boy Les. Welcome to a new video, and if you're new, welcome to the channel. Blizzard, like a day and a half ago, had just announced they're stopping development for the main part of the PvE. Now, a lot of people say that they're cancelling the PvP in its entirety, but it's just not true. And there's still going to be PvE missions, but they're going to be integrated into the Overwatch 2 that we all know. Now, for people who may not know what's going on, I'll explain to you what's going on. Back in BlizzCon 2019, Blizzard Team 4 displayed and illustrated and announced, actually, a PvE aspect to the already existing Overwatch. Now, what does this mean? It means that there was basically going to be a story mode for Overwatch, where you play your favorite characters and play these preset missions. It was going to have a hero progression power thing, and have a skill tree. It was probably just going to be a Fortnite Save the World of Overwatch. But now the main part of that, including the skill tree and all the other cool stuff that we heard about it, is cancelled, and development for that has stopped. Now, this happens a lot of the time behind the scenes. It's unfortunate, and it seems like the reasoning for it is that they didn't have the resources to be able to complete it, and it seemed like it was something that was going to take them a very long time to do, like there was no end date in sight for it. And now the Overwatch fanbase slash community received this pretty badly, I would say. A lot of people are outraged, a lot of people are disappointed, and if you want my personal opinion on it, I think all of these reactions are warranted. Let me explain. Supposedly, ever since the announcement of Overwatch 2 or the PvE, I don't know if they were the same thing at the time. Basically, since that announcement, the game had barely gotten any updates. Overwatch was suffering from a heavy content drop for the 4 years before Overwatch 2 came out, and this was inevitably killing the game. There were lots of issues at the time, considering a certain meta that was going around called GOATs. I don't know who was GOATs. Just hearing people talking about the state of Overwatch 1 4 years before Overwatch 2 came out, it sounds like stuff was more rough than the Sojourn meta. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I didn't play a lot of Overwatch 1, but I did have it. I remember I got the game in 2018, and I clocked like 25 hours, I think, in that year, and I didn't play it like ever again, basically, until the release of Overwatch 2. Then, you know, I've gotten into it a lot. I've been streaming it, I've been playing it with my friends. It's overall a much fun game. I didn't really care about the PvE aspect of things. I was much more hyped that there was a free game coming and it was Overwatch becoming free. And when you hear the cancellation of the PvE that they were working hard on, and, you know, directing resources from the original live service PvP to the PvE, I almost just really empathize with the fan base that's currently outraged and angry and disappointed. The entire reason that we have Overwatch 2 today is because of the PvE. There would be no Overwatch 2 if there was no PvE being worked on. So a lot of players definitely feel rightfully outraged. They left their game to essentially die. There was no content for 4 years. They were directing all their resources into this PvE. Well, maybe not all, but most of these resources, apparently. And the remaining players who were playing Overwatch 1 during that time were suffering through it just so that Blizzard can make this PvE that they promised. And it was an actual promise, by the way. Just for them to say, yeah, we can't fulfill this, chief. And apparently they realized that they wouldn't be able to fulfill the entirety of the PvE that they promised later last year. So by later last year, I'm assuming that they mean after the release of Overwatch 2. It sucks, and it's really unfair. It's unfair to the people who were playing Overwatch 1 and had to deal with the BS of that 4-year drought. And when the devs, I mean, I don't know if they're the devs, I forgot their names, but when they were getting interviewed and like giving their answers to certain questions, they were talking about how they had to make like a skill tree for each hero, which is like 35 plus heroes at this point. Now, I'm not saying that's easy. That's definitely a lot of work. Apparently, the skill trees were composed of like 20 to 40 talents or something like that, which is a lot for especially 35 different heroes. It was a lot, and it's huge, which also contributed to the hype of the Overwatch 2 PvE. Imagine having unique skill trees for each and every single hero. That sounds hype. If you're Reinhardt, you know, you could play a lot of Reinhardt, and then you could like move on to another hero like Tracer, then you can play a lot of Lucio, then you can play a lot of Ana. The Overwatch 2 PvE definitely had a lot of replayability promise in that sense. And also the PvE is also kind of a live service. It was going to be also a live service thing thing as well. It was going to continue to get more content updates, so I'm assuming by content updates it means more mission arcs, more story arcs, that type of thing. More different ways to progress with certain heroes. You could replay certain missions and get secrets, I guess. Overwatch was going to be huge. The Overwatch PvE specifically. Now, I was one of those people that was pretty confused when there wasn't a PvE option in Overwatch 2 already. Like, it's really interesting that Overwatch 2, the game that was going to have a PvE, didn't have PvE yet, but they changed the already existing PvP. I was alright with that, but was just confused as like, why did they have to change the game so drastically now then? I mean, but I could go on repeating myself because I think I've already done a bunch of that. It's very unfortunate news. 100%. Because I would say even with Overwatch 2, there's still some huge part of negligence I feel with the game before this announcement. Like certain hero balancings taking way longer than they should be. Oh my god, this hero is broken on release, but they'll only get a patch halfway through the season. Like, damn, that's quite a while. You know, it's quite a while to like nerf this person's damage or nerf this, nerf that, or buff this, buff that. You know, things definitely felt like it took a lot more time than they should have when being implemented into the game. However, there is some good out of this entire situation on that same day. There's a new roadmap plotting what will happen on Overwatch Season 5, 6, 7, and beyond. The huge things from this roadmap are a cinematic reveal, the On Fire system returns, a creator workshop mode, story missions, a new support hero, a new tank hero, new maps, and 2 reworks. But there's something I'm still very unhappy about with this roadmap, and I'll get into it in a moment. So with the ultimate failure of the PvE, the team that's working on Overwatch 2 ultimately decided that, hey, let's start focusing more on our PvP. And you can see that there's a lot going on in this roadmap. There definitely is a lot. There's just one thing that makes me unhappy about this. The time. I think it was season 2, there were addresses of like, hey, we're gonna rework Roadhog, we're gonna rework Sombra. That was happening in season 2. And you're telling me we're gonna get this rework in season 7. Now, I might be wrong saying this, but I think season 7 happens like next year. But I could be wrong. It's either next year or late this year. This has been brought to attention to us by the devs like since season 2 or season 3 about these reworks. And we're only gonna get them in season 7 or after. As we all know, Blizzard loves to take their time, especially when it comes to Overwatch, making simple balance changes that take half the season to implement. This is BS. With them focusing more on the PvP, obviously aside from this roadmap, I'm hoping to see a lot more updates and much more frequent balance changes, like Lifeweaver for example. I think it's absolutely stupid that he got the buffs that he got only in the mid-season. And not only the buffs, but he got the changes that he got as well halfway through the season. I hate making comparisons as well, but I think it needs to be made in this case. When you compare Overwatch to other existing live service games, when they have something that is, I guess, broken, doesn't work, or is weak, you know, you have your Lifeweaver who is basically dead on release. Dead as in he's a pretty weak support, and his control scheme overall was not well received by the community. It took them half a season to change the controls and give him certain buffs that are not necessarily huge either, whereas other games would release them like a few days later or a week later. Now this roadmap has a lot of content for sure, but if they're directing most of their attention to the PvE now, then we have to start seeing a lot more in every other aspect aside from the roadmap as well, already existing aspects. Now there's a lot of people who are saying that yes, you should just like go easy on the dev team, and like I'm on the same boat. It was clearly an effort. The development was clearly underestimated. There was a lot more that they had to do, and it happens in development a lot where things don't exactly go as planned, unfortunately, and this is just one of those cases. But it sticks because the entire point of Overwatch 2 was the PvE, and now that that's gone, it's like, what was the point? What was the point of making all these drastic changes? What was the point of that 4-year drought? It's just a stab in the back for fans who have been fans for that long, ultimately. And ultimately, I think it's a high fall from grace, and I don't know how the hell Overwatch 2 can redeem themselves from this. I definitely do think redemption is possible, but I don't think that this roadmap that they have here is enough. Like, another thing that they could start doing is like a lot more cinematics, a lot more lore stuff, and I get that that's the point of the story mission, that they're gonna dive more into the lore. They have a lore codex, meaning that you could like read up on your tracers, your widowmakers, histories, and stuff like that basically, which I think is really cool additions to the game. Like, something that I personally thought of that I think is a cool idea is to basically have an Overwatch series, like a TV series Overwatch, just like a 1 season 12 episodes, like I don't know, maybe just 1 season 24 different heroes basically, and each episode basically just explains the lore of said hero, and the episodes can be their standard 24 minutes, you know, like a normal episode on TV. Or it could be even like 40 something minutes, I guess. And each episode is dedicated to each hero and dedicated to critical time in the development of Overwatch and stuff like that. If I may be correct in saying this, but Overwatch was released in 2016. The game has been out for 7 years, yet there's still like a lot of missing lore that we don't know about with like a lot of heroes. And I'm surprised because I had a stream where I was watching cinematics only. I was doing like a reaction stream and watching cinematics. And like a lot of cinematics for a lot of heroes are missing. Well, maybe not necessarily missing, but they're not there. Like you have your Zenyatta who doesn't have like a cinematic or a lore origin thing, but then you have your Kiriko who was recently released, who has her lore thing and her own cinematic, which is pretty weird. They could definitely go in and make some easy money, I think, with the lore, definitely. But I guess that's part of the story missions. But yeah, ultimately, it sucks the way that things went, and I do honestly think that the reactions that everyone's warranting is deserved, and I hope that is something that Blizzard ultimately learns from. Yes, it happens in game development, but not with something this big. I do empathize with them, and I do sympathize with them, but ultimately, I cannot blame people for reacting this way. It is well deserved. Obviously, it sucks to be the Blizzard devs right now, because, you know, they're taking all of this and all of that, but I just simply agree with the people's reaction. It's warranted because of that 4-year drought, plus making basically Overwatch 2, which did not need to be done for the PvE, and now that PvE is gonna come into full effect, that obviously sucks. But anyways, that's my opinion. I don't think I have anything else much to say. I don't even think I explained it that well, to be honest, but that's all I have to say. If you have enjoyed this video, then please do leave a like. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you do want to, of course, know something, to check out my other videos or past streams, or whatever the case may be, then please do subscribe. That'd be greatly appreciated if you do want to, of course. Not just the Overwatch community, but the entire gaming industry is now looking at Overwatch 2 and saying that it's a huge failure. Do you agree? I don't personally agree. Yes, ultimately the core part of Overwatch 2 is PvE. That's no longer coming in full effect as it was advertised to us, but I don't think that spells the failure of the game. It is definitely something embarrassing and something that everyone has the right to be disappointed about, but I don't think it could spell the end of Overwatch 2. What do you think? And you know what it is, guys. Peace.